Hey Paloma, my name is Isa Piccolo, and I'm your first host for this semester's edition of Studio 2043. Studio 2043 is the final project of the Intro to TV and Film Production class at Point Loma Nazarene University. On this edition of Studio 2043, we'll be taking a look at 3 documentaries and 2 short films. This class worked on this project throughout the fall 2024 semester, and we can't wait to share them with you today. After watching each project, you get to hear from a team representative who will share a behind-the-scenes view of their film. First, we're going to watch Riding the Waves, a short documentary about Point Loma's surf culture and the problem of localism. Let's roll it.
Describe an experience with conflict in the water with other surfers.
Whew. I would say what drew me the most to begin surfing is that I grew up in a small town about like 2 hours north of here called Newport Beach, kind of a surf mecca town a little bit.
Growing up in Costa Rica and living super close to the beach, it was like kind of a culture that I was surrounded by.
What drew me to begin surfing would have to be my dad. He grew up surfing here, actually. He went to Point Loma also, and he's talked about these waves all the time. I've fell in love with it, and I get to go surfing with him all the time, and so that's such a fun experience.
During COVID, I was just in my room every day, all day, with Zoom and classes, and my mom was just needed me to get outside. And I got out there and I caught 1 or 2 waves, and I actually got down the line on a few rides. I kind of just got sucked in after that, and there was nothing else to do during COVID, so then I just started surfing every day. Did that answer the question?
Everybody knows at least someone who surfs, so it's kind of just become it's just super chill. Surfing, it's just a great way to get outside and get some exercise and have a good time, and also grow a little competitive with yourself. It pushes you to do better and want to do better, but also just to have a good time.
Where was I? Localism.
I personally haven't experienced much tension with locals, but I do know that other people have.
First of all, these old grouchy, okay, we can't put this in. Why do they have a stick up their butt 95% of the time? There's a way to talk to people if they're doing something wrong and they're not respecting just surfing in the culture. There's no need for it being so aggressive and aggro when we're all just trying to have fun. Yeah, I would say honestly here at school at Point Loma, the locals definitely are pretty gnarly for the most part. Even you can be so respectful and kind, do everything right, and they'll still yell at you. I've never gotten slapped at, but I've definitely seen and heard people getting slapped at, screaming at you and for no reason, just when you're out there to have fun.
There's localism and territoriality everywhere you go. It's mainly just because surfing has kind of exploded, and so more people are going out and learning, and it can be really frustrating for people who have been surfing really good waves and local breaks consistently for years. People become really territorial over that.
An important thing about coming to a new break is having respect for the people that have lived here for a long time or surf here daily, especially as someone like myself who just moved here and I'm new to surfing this spot, so yeah.
Yeah, just anywhere you go, you always gotta be super respectful, and if you're visiting, it's their wave that they get to surf every day, so just being super low-key and mellow and just following the rules, I think is the main thing.
I hope that everyone realizes that it's not that deep. There will be more waves, and you just need to have patience in the water, because surfing is a very patient sport, and it's become very extreme and competitive over the years. So I hope that people go back to the roots of where it started and just have fun with it and not be so aggro.
If I could change one thing, it would be to make the surf breaks a little bit more known, which ones are local, which ones are for beginner people so that there's more of a balance and less like conflict.
You know, if you go out by yourself, you're respectful, you obey the rules, and you stay on the inside and let the guys catch their waves and just mind your own business, that you should be allowed to be able to surf there and not get hassled would be my biggest thing. Yeah, no. You.
Sorry, I know this is really long. We can't use like a lot of this.
Oh my gosh, I love it!
Why are we here? Why are we on the beach?
I'm in my wetsuit.
It's like, yeah.
And then lastly, what do you what do you
Now we'll be talking to Julia Faze, the camera assistant and editor for Riding the Waves. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could you tell us about some of the highlights your team experienced while creating this documentary?
Yeah, so we experienced a lot of highlights. It was really fun just seeing the whole film come together, from like the original idea of starting to have like a surf documentary and just watching it develop and spending time with my classmates and building new bonds was really fun.
Amazing. Now let's talk about some challenges your team faced. I know it can be very tricky to film outdoors, so what difficulties arose from making this surf documentary?
Yeah, there were definitely some difficulties and a little bit of challenge. We filmed right by the beach, so there was a little bit of issue with the wind and the lighting, obviously just being right next to the ocean, but we pulled through and everyone was really collaborative and worked with the equipment well, so it all turned out fine.
That does sound very challenging, but I'm glad your team was able to pull it through and bring us an amazing documentary. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now it's time to move on to our next short documentary, featuring a crochet club that meets on the campus of Point Loma Nazarene University every Tuesday evening. Here's Knots of Love.
Here at Point Loma Nazarene University, students are always coming up with creative ways of channeling their interests into a compassionate cause. I'm here at the Arc, where PLNU's yarn enthusiasts gather together every Tuesday night with the campus crochet club, Knots of Love.
I believe it was my sophomore year. I just started becoming friends with Arabella, my co-president, and Natalie, another co-president. And as we were starting to become friends, we noticed that we had a common interest, which was crocheting. And from there, I had gone over to their dorm and crocheted with them for fun. And then later in the evening, we came up with the idea to make something out of it, just because we noticed the community that came out of it within those moments and how it brought us closer. And so we thought it would be cool to see what Point Loma would do with that. And so then we started planning, and then the following school year, it started to roll into what is Knots of Love. That's it.
I learned to crochet in 2020. It started out as like a COVID hobby. I think I was like really bored, obviously, and just like looking around my house for, I don't know, random things to do. And I like found some knitting needles and I was like, oh, like, what are these? And then I was like, I have nothing to do and I have like all the time in the world. I might as well like teach myself how to knit. So I think I just searched it up on YouTube and I ended up teaching myself how to knit. And then the more stuff I would find that I like actually wanted to do, they were all like crocheted. So I was like, okay, I taught myself how to knit, I'll teach myself how to crochet. So I taught myself how to crochet, and then I don't know, I kind of just stuck with it. I really didn't think I would. I thought it would just stay as a COVID hobby, but then it kind of made its way out of COVID and then eventually made its way here to Point Loma as well. I would hang out like in Arabella's dorm a lot, so I would literally walk across campus like all the way from Nice to Clawson like with all my crochet stuff, and I would just sit in her room and crochet, and then everyone found out I crocheted and it became like a little thing. And then like sophomore year is when we met Amber, and then we got close to Amber, and then we got really close to Amber, and we found out she crocheted too, and that was like the most exciting thing in the world. And then we taught Arabella how to crochet, and it was like the smallest, tiniest thing that I like randomly taught myself how to do during COVID, like created this crazy little community for ourselves. And then now it's like become the club, and it's even bigger than we thought, and now we're like giving out to the community and stuff. So it definitely means a lot more than I thought it ever would, but I love it and I'm glad I started.
Because myself, Natalie, and Amber, we're all seniors. The hope is really in the 3 underclassmen that we have on our board right now. And I just hope that they're able to see all of the love and care that we've poured into this, and they're able to replicate and multiply that. We have done 100 donations last school year, and we're hoping for more this school year, and even more in the future to come. So we're hoping for more involvement from our members, which we've already seen this year compared to last year, and I'm excited to see what that might look like next year with our new board coming in, which means more donations, more involvement in the community, and overall just a bigger impact on San Diego, as big as we can. That would be the hope. I feel like we've gotten a lot of students involved in ways that they didn't think would be imaginable, just sitting in the ARC every Tuesday from 5 to 6, but I think that they have really enjoyed it, and we've really enjoyed seeing the benefits come from our members being here.
Seven.
Welcome back. That was Knots of Love. I'm Grace Harris, your second host for Studio 2043. Up next, we have with us Katie Kepler, the director of Knots of Love. Welcome, Katie. I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So can you tell us why your team decided to highlight a crochet club?
Yeah, I think that the crochet club on campus is a really underrated way to get involved. I really was inspired by the friendships of the 3 co-founders and who we did interviews with. They're great. And I've been crocheting since I was like 10 years old, so it's a really big part of my life. And I think that the community at Knots of Love was something I wanted to showcase.
That's awesome. I know that as college students, we all have very busy schedules. So how was it planning the interviewees, the club itself, and your production?
So as for the interviewees, I would say it was pretty easy because we were able to do 2 out of 3 of the co-presidents' interviews at the club meeting that we were already going to be filming B-roll at. And then we just did the 3rd co-president's interview a couple days later, which was pretty chill. And then we're pretty good at coordinating between the crew members as ourselves. We were always pretty much available to meet during the times we needed to. And then as for the club itself, it was canceled 1 week, so we had to reschedule shooting for the next week. But that was pretty simple and straightforward, honestly.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing with us, Katie.
Of course.
Now it's time to take a look at Against All Odds, a short documentary about the challenges international students here at PLNU face. Let's jump in.
College is a challenge for any student, but it's an even bigger challenge for international students. From the miles between failing to the lack of diversity at Point Loma Nazarene University, the question must be raised. Why do people choose the school, and most importantly, why do they stay?
Well, my name is Ayana Jade Ellerington. Most people call me EJ. I am originally from the UK. I'm studying media communications and I'm a sophomore here at Point Loma.
My name is Gimal Sabingo. I am assistant professor of journalism here at PLNU. And I am originally from Angola, but I grew up in Portugal.
Hi, so I'm Ali. I'm from Egypt, Cairo, and my major is biochemistry. And I'm also a transfer student, so I'm a sophomore at Point Loma.
Well, it seems random to most people, but for me, it started a long time ago when I came to California in 2013, I believe. I visited with my family, and we got in contact with this incredible church in San Clemente, and became really close friends with the pastors of that church. All their kids came to Point Loma, so that's how I first heard about it a long, long time ago.
Coming to San Diego, I was encountering Americans who didn't even know where Portugal was. They thought Portugal was the same country as Spain, which they're not, they're different countries. And so that was really hard to constantly have to translate who I was to people, that can be a really exhausting thing to do. It can lead to a bit of sort of like discomfort where you don't feel like you belong at all times and you're not able to be fully just relaxed in yourself.
My challenges have taken me by surprise because they're not what I was expecting. Freshman year, I didn't miss my family at all. I think I was caught up in the excitement of everything that was going on. This year, however, that's a bit different. I definitely feel them so far away from me.
Like so far, maybe the difficulties, like the time difference being 10 hours. Like I text my parents good morning and they text me good night, so I'm not able to like connect with them as much.
I found out that over Christmas I wouldn't be able to see my grandparents, and I didn't think it would upset me, but I got really upset, like not angry upset, just like sad upset, because I came to terms with the reality that I chose to be here and therefore I chose to distance myself from my cousins, my grandparents, and there was already a separation, but being on the other side of the world, that's huge. So if anything happened to them, it's not like I could fly over. You know, I have school and I have commitments here.
Throughout my experience and throughout my life, I've mostly been in predominantly white institutions as a student and, as a professional. So I've always felt that there's a role that I can play as somebody who can navigate those spaces, not only in helping students of color feel seen and represented, but to also provide students that are in the majority culture, a chance to experience something different, a chance to meet someone different from a different country and to have that exposure. I think that's so important.
Many people are very unfamiliar with like where Egypt is or like what language you speak. So I've been having like many conversations with the friends I made here, letting them know what my culture is. And I feel like when I talk to them about my culture, I also gain more knowledge because like I maybe do my own research, like make sure that I'm saying the right info. So this like connects me to home some way.
I think my 4 years as a student here were some of the best experiences that I've ever had were at this school. I grew so much, I learned so much. I left here with best friends for life. I still remember so many of the wonderful lessons professors passed on to me. I grew spiritually in ways that I don't think I ever would have been able to outside of the school.
There are moments where I have to be honest. Like yesterday I was on the phone to my dad and I was like, oh, this is really difficult. Just handling a lot being so far away and wanting to have connections to my family and my home country, as you could say. And he was like, what, is it time to leave? Are you thinking about transferring? I was like, no, like obviously not. Just because I'm facing challenges and hard times, it doesn't mean I never want to leave this place. It just brought me so much life and so much joy and a lot of laughter and a lot of growth as well. So yes, definitely worth it.
For those who have decided to make Point Loma their home, they found the journey to be worth it. However, PLNU still has a long ways to go to diversify its campus. With only 1% of the student body being international students, some are left wondering if Point Loma is making enough of an effort to foster a community of inclusion. We're left hoping that change is made and a more diverse Point Loma is in store for the future.
I hope you enjoyed that documentary. Next, we're going to be discussing the making of Against All Odds with Garrison Cho, the lighting operator of the project. Welcome, Garrison.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, can you tell me, what was your favorite part of the production process?
My favorite part was probably just honestly hearing the stories of the students and kind of hearing their journeys along with the professor and kind of like how God brought them to Point Loma and that whole process.
That's awesome. I know your group had some challenges editing the final project. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
So what ended up happening is we were in the library and we kind of just wanted to show like some of the rough cuts of the clips, and then we ended up kind of taking the sequences and we got them a little messed up. And so we kind of were just like, Aubrey, the editor of the project, was kind of just like, at this point, I'm just gonna scrap the whole thing. And then she was like, I'll just restart the whole project, put all the pieces and clips and the audio back together, and yeah.
Well, that sounded like it was pretty stressful, but I'm glad the final cut turned out so great. Next, let's highlight our 2 short films. We'll be starting with Welcome Week, a thriller that follows the chilling events of a freshman during her first week at PLNU.
That was Welcome Week. I'm Cadence Cook, your third and final host for Studio 2043. I'd like to welcome our next guest, Chloe Kennedy, the director of Welcome Week. I'm so excited to hear from you, Chloe.
I'm excited to be here.
So Chloe, I noticed between screening the rough cut and the final cut of your film, you switched some things up. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so our film has undergone so many changes from the first cut to the final cut. We started with this dystopian idea of this anthem was possessing students, and then it changed into being a murder mystery where all the freshmen are being killed off. And we did have a lot of challenges finding a storyline that made sense and could be just demonstrated in 5 minutes. But I'm really happy that I've gotten to see how far it's come.
Wow, sounds like you put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
What was the highlight of making your short film?
The highlight had to be the friendships that I made and the memories that I made through it. I don't think me or my team, my editor, or just any of the actors knew how much work it was going to be, how many months and hours of editing, but it really just was all worth it. A highlight for me was when we were trying to film this water scene and we're all soaking wet in the water. I'm on someone's shoulders trying to not drown this camera, and we all were just laughing and having such a good time. So that was definitely a highlight.
Well, thanks for sharing, Chloe. Now it's time to take a look at The Haunting of Cabrillo, a short horror film that follows 2 PLNU students as they investigate strange happenings in a building on campus. I hope you enjoyed that chilling story. That was The Haunting of Cabrillo. Let's hear from the film's director, Spencer Gorka. Spencer, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
What inspired you to create a short horror film in a building on campus?
Well, we were just thinking that it was around Halloween. It was like the beginning of October when we got this assignment. And what really sparked the idea of doing a haunted film was actually the 1st of October was like a super foggy day. It was like the first foggy day of the year. And so it just kind of was like really supernatural in a way. It kind of gave this eerie feel to the campus. And so we kind of took that idea and was like, oh, what if we made a horror film on campus? And so we took that and we just played with it.
That's so cool. Could you tell us what it was like filming in a supposedly haunted building?
It was really interesting. We got in, we had to make sure, because we were filming at night for a majority of the film because of the setting and everything, and it was going to take place after dark. And so it kind of like, because of that, it kind of was like making us really like paranoid a bit. But it was still super, super interesting, and PubSafe actually came over and told us a few of their creepy stories, and it was just really creepy with all the just supernatural things and stories that we knew of, and then just different things that were happening to us, like some lights were flickering on and off, and my radio was kind of freaking out a bit too when we were filming, and so it was just really interesting, but it was overall really fun.
That sounds like a suspenseful process. I'm glad you were able to bring us such a frightening tale.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for Studio 2043. We hope you enjoyed watching our projects as much as we enjoyed making them. If you're interested in making films like this, contact our instructors, Dr. James Wicks or Professor Nathan Gibbs. See how you can get involved in learning about TV and film production and practicing the art of visually telling a story. We hope to see your short film on the next edition of Studio 2043. And we're out.